Hey y'all, Claire Gammel here with Southern Magnolia Realty, and welcome back to Market Minutes with Claire, your monthly guide to what's really going on here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast in real estate. So this is where I navigate the market so that you don't have to, because let's be honest, real estate headlines don't always reflect what's happening in our local market and neighborhoods. All right, so that's why I break down the numbers for you every single month so that you can make smart, informed decisions, whether you're buying, selling, or just kind of watching the market. So it's June 2025, which means that the May market data is in, and we've got a lot to talk about. So prices are holding strong, activity is picking up, and each county, Jackson County, Harrison County, and Hancock, are telling its own unique story. So whether you're trying to time your next move or you just want to keep a pulse on what's really happening, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. All right, let's start big picture with the entire coast as a whole. So in May, the average home on the Mississippi Gulf Coast sold for $298,550. So we're continuing to see values trend upward. And this is great news for sellers who were waiting for the spring bump to kind of kick in. So homes are averaging 69 days on market. So they're still taking a little bit of time to move, but they're not dragging like we saw like back over the winter. This is a healthy pace that reflects a more thoughtful buying process. So we had 1,602 closed sales and 2,112 new listings. So that brought our total active inventory up to just over 5,700 homes. That puts us at 4.3 months of supply, just slightly into that balanced market territory. It's not overly competitive, but it's not completely flooded either. So here's something to note. Sellers received 96.6% of their list price on average, which means well-positioned homes are still commanding strong offers. But buyers are doing their homework, and it's taking an average of 9.6 showings to get to pending. So sellers, this isn't the time to test the market with an inflated price. Buyers are out there buying, but they're comparing everything. All right, so let's break it down county by county. We're going to be starting with Jackson County, which is honestly kind of one of the smoothest markets right now. The average sales price was $292,911, which is just slightly under the regional average, but solid for the area. And the homes are moving. So they only had 62 days on market in May, and that's the fastest across the entire coast. We saw 186 closed sales, 233 new listings, which means inventory is kind of keeping up with demand. The total active listings came in at 573 homes, giving us just 3.9 months of supply. So Jackson County is still leaning in favor of sellers. But here's what really stands out, that 97.3 list to sold ratio and only 8.5 showings to pending. That's the most efficient conversion rate that we're seeing across the board. Buyers in Jackson County know what they want and they're moving on it. So if you're listing there, make sure your home shines right away. You're not going to get a second chance to make that first impression. All right, now Harrison County is where we see the most volume, and it's really holding steady. The average price came in at $295,132, right in line with the region. Homes are selling in about 64 days, and we had 272 closed sales, so activity is strong. New listings hit 414 with 1,050 homes on the market, which gives us 4.1 months of supply. That's about as balanced as you can get. So sellers in Harrison County are getting 96.9% of their asking price, and buyers are taking just a little bit longer to decide. 9.5 showings to pending on average. So it's important to stand out, especially when there are more options hitting the market each and every week. So if you're buying here, you've got some room to negotiate. And if you're selling, highlight your home's unique value and be prepared to wait just a little bit longer for the right offer. So now Hancock County. This is where it continues to be like the most unique of the three counties. The average price was $323,555. It's the highest across the coast. And yes, values are strong, especially for waterfront and second home properties. But they're not moving nearly as fast. Homes are sitting an average of 90 days with just 77 closed sales and 100 new listings. Inventory is slower to clear. So there are 421 homes for sale, and our months of supply sits at 6.8, which puts us squarely in a buyer's market territory. The list to sold ratio was 96.9%, and showings to pending came in at 7. That last statistic is pretty interesting because it tells us that buyers in Hancock County may be fewer, but they're a little bit more decisive. So the issue is likely pricing and volume, not lack of demand. So if you're a seller in Hancock County, your best strategy is to price to attract, not to negotiate. You need to capture their attention early because buyers here are more cautious and willing to wait. All right, so what does all of this mean for you? Here's the big takeaways. The overall Gulf Coast market is healthy, balanced, and active. Jackson County is the most efficient, it's moving fast, and it's closing strong. Harrison County is more balanced, competitive, and steady. And then Hancock County has a higher price point, but it's also got more buyer control and longer wait times. So if you're buying, there are more options now than earlier in the year. And depending on the county, you might even have some negotiating room. And if you're selling, this is the time to be strategic, not just optimistic. So the market will reward realistic pricing, strong marketing, and a clean presentation. So homes that hit all three are still selling fast and close to asking price. All right, so now that we've closed out May and we've stepped into June, this is the time to reassess your strategy. So whether you're thinking about buying, selling, or if you just want to understand where you stand in today's market, I'd love to help you out and put together a plan that works for you. Because in a market like this, strategy is everything. So if you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next Market Minutes update. If you have a question about your local market, drop a comment or reach out. I am always here to help. And as always, make sure that you stay informed, stay ahead, and stay coastal. See you next time.